Picture this. You're 73 years old. You did everything right. You maxed out your 401k for 30 years. You never touched it. You watched it grow into $1.20 million, and you felt proud every time you checked the balance. Then one January, a letter shows up from your brokerage. It's not a bill. It's worse. It's a number. The amount the IRS says you're now required to pull out of that account this year, whether you need the money or not. You do the math. That withdrawal alone pushes you into a higher tax bracket. It makes more of your Social Security taxable. It raises your Medicare premiums, and you haven't spent a single dollar of it yet. You built a fortune, and the government just sent you the invoice. Maybe this doesn't feel real to you yet. Maybe 73 feels like a lifetime away. But somewhere out there, right now, is a version of you at that age, opening that exact letter, feeling that exact gut drop. And the wild part is, the outcome isn't random. It isn't luck. It was decided years earlier by a decision most people never even knew they were allowed to make. Here's the part nobody warns you about. The biggest expense in your retirement might not be your mortgage or healthcare or even inflation. It might be the tax bill sitting quietly inside the account you were told to trust the most. And here's what I eventually figured out. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't wear a suit. For most of my 20s, I thought IRA was just a fancier way of saying savings account. And I genuinely believed Roth and traditional were basically the same thing with different names. They are not. I found this out the expensive way, staring at a spreadsheet that showed me exactly how much of my future retirement money already belongs to the IRS. I just haven't paid the bill yet. Once I understood that, I couldn't unsee it. And I think you deserve to see it too, before it's too late to do anything about it. Let's talk about two people. We'll call them Mark and Denise. Both are 55. Both live in Ohio. Both make about $95,000 a year. Both have roughly $700,000 sitting in a traditional 401k. They've contributed to faithfully since their 20s. On paper, they are financially identical. Two people, same number, same age, same plan. Mark works in logistics. Denise works in school administration. Neither of them thinks of themselves as a money person. They both just did the responsible thing for 30 straight years. Showed up, contributed to the 401k. Never panicked sold during a downturn, never touched the money early. By almost every measure financial advisors use to grade people, they both get an A, but over the next 15 years, they're going to make one decision different. And that one decision is going to be worth over $100,000. Here's the thing most people never get explained to them clearly. A traditional 401k isn't fully your money. It's your money and the government's money mixed together in the same account. Every dollar you put in was pre-tax. That means the IRS has been quietly waiting for decades to collect its share the moment you take that money out. Think of your traditional 401. The government let you skip paying tax on the seeds, but it never let you skip paying tax on the harvest. Most people picture their 401k as a locked safe that's entirely theirs, growing quietly in the background while they focus on the rest of life. That mental picture is comforting. It's also wrong. A more honest picture is a shared field. You planted it, you watered it, you did all the work, but you agreed decades ago to split whatever grows there with a silent partner who shows up only at harvest time. That's our metaphor for this whole video. The seed and the harvest. Every dollar you contribute pre-tax is a seed. Small, easy to plant. Doesn't cost you much today, but that seed grows. Over 20 or 30 years, it doesn't just grow, it multiplies. And when harvest time comes, the IRS doesn't tax the seed anymore. It taxes the entire harvest. Every dollar of growth, every dollar of compounding, taxed as ordinary income, at whatever your tax rate happens to be the year you withdraw it. Denise does what most people do. She never converts anything. She lets her $700,000 keep growing in the traditional 401k, rolls it into a traditional IRA at retirement, and doesn't think about taxes again until she's forced to. Mark does something different. Starting at 55, in the years right before Social Security and required withdrawals kick in, he starts converting a slice of his traditional 401k into a Roth IRA every year. Not all at once. That would create a massive tax bill in a single year. A slice. Deliberately. On purpose. Yes, Mark pays tax on that slice the year he converts it. That's the seed getting taxed right now, while it's still small. But once it's inside the Roth, it grows completely tax-free. Forever. No tax on the growth. No tax when he withdraws it. No required withdrawals forcing his hand at 73. The IRS's claim on that money is closed out permanently the moment he converts it. Think about what that actually means. Mark is choosing to harvest a small field now, pay the tax on that small harvest, and then replant those same dollars into ground the government can never touch again. Denise is letting the whole field keep growing, untouched, telling herself she'll deal with the harvest later. Field getting bigger feels like winning. It isn't. It just means a bigger bill is quietly growing right along with it. Here's why the timing of Mark's move matters so much. Between 55 and 65, before Social Security starts and before required withdrawals begin, Mark is often sitting in his lowest tax bracket of his entire adult life. His W-2 income has usually dropped or stopped. This window, retirement planners sometimes call it the gap years, is when converting costs the least. Denise skips this window entirely. She waits, and every year she waits, three things grow at the same time: her account balance, the government's share of it, and the size of the tax bill she's postponing, not avoiding. This is the part that trips people up. Denise isn't making a mistake by saving. She's making a mistake by assuming that not touching it is the same thing as playing it safe. With this kind of money, doing nothing is still a decision. It's just a decision she's letting the tax code make for her, instead of making it herself. Let's slow down and actually look at the numbers, because this is where it gets real. Age 55. Starting point. Mark and Denise each have $700,000 in a traditional account, growing at a steady 7% a year. Age 55 to 65. Mark converts roughly $40,000 a year. He pays ordinary income tax on each conversion at his current, lower rate. Denise converts nothing. Age 65. New balances. Mark now has a meaningful chunk of his money, north of $500,000, sitting inside a Roth IRA that will never be taxed again. The rest remains traditional. Denise still has her full balance in a traditional account, now grown to roughly $1.38 million. Oh, read that again. Denise's account is bigger on paper, but a huge portion of that number was never really hers. It was always partly the government's. Age 73. Required withdrawals begin. For 2026, the IRS's own published limits show how closely the government tracks every dollar in these accounts. The annual 401 contribution cap climbed to $24,500, with catch-up contributions pushing the total as high as $35,750 for people aged 60 to 63. It was always partly the government's. Age 73. Required withdrawals begin. That's how much the IRS wants going in. And it is just as precise about how much has to come back out once required withdrawals begin. Denise's required withdrawal, based on her larger traditional balance, forces roughly $55,000 to $60,000 out of her account every single year. That withdrawal stacks on top of her Social Security, pushing more of it into taxable territory. It can trigger higher Medicare premiums through IRMAA surcharges. She has no choice in the matter. Mark's required withdrawal is dramatically smaller because so much of his money already moved to the Roth side, an account with zero required withdrawals during his lifetime. He controls when he touches that money. Denise doesn't. Picture the two of them at 75, both retired, both drawing Social Security. Denise opens her mail every spring and finds another surprise: a Medicare premium surcharge she didn't budget for because her forced withdrawal nudged her income over a threshold she didn't even know existed. Mark opens the same kind of envelope and it's just normal. His income stayed where he planned it to stay, because he was the one steering it year after year, starting back at 55. Let that sink in. Over Mark's retirement, factoring in the lower conversion era tax rates he paid versus the higher forced withdrawal tax rates Denise pays for decades, the total tax difference between these two nearly identical people is estimated at, well, over $100,000. Mark opens the same kind of envelope and it's just normal. His income stayed where he planned it to stay because he was the one steering it year after year, starting back at 55. Let that sink in. Same income, same savings, discipline, same account size at 55. One conversation with a calculator and the outcomes split completely. Here's what nobody talks about. Your 401k statement shows you a number, and your brain treats that number as yours. It isn't. Not entirely. A portion of every traditional 401k and traditional IRA balance in America already belongs to the IRS. You just haven't been billed yet. Financial advisors love to talk about growing your retirement account. Almost nobody talks about who owns the growth. And the uncomfortable truth is this. The longer you wait to deal with that tax bill, the bigger your account gets, and the bigger the government's invisible share gets right along with it. A recent industry survey found American retirement confidence has actually dropped to its lowest point in nearly a decade. Only about 6 in 10 workers now feel confident they'll have enough money for a comfortable retirement. A lot of that fear isn't about not having enough saved. It's about not understanding how much of what's saved is actually going to be theirs to keep. But how do you actually survive this phase? The uncertainty, the feeling that you might be doing it wrong. I think the honest answer is you stop trying to get it perfect and start with these 3 things. First, stop assuming your account balance is your spending power. Separate the seed from the harvest in your own head. If a third of that balance is pre-tax, mentally set that third aside as not fully mine yet. Second, look at your income in the years right before Social Security and required withdrawals start. If there's a gap year where your income drops, that gap is valuable real estate. It won't last. Use it or lose it. Third, give yourself permission to convert small. You don't need Mark's exact plan. Even converting a modest amount each year, timed around a low-income year, chips away at that future tax bill instead of leaving it all for age 73 to hit you at once. And fourth, if any of this feels overwhelming, that feeling is normal, not a sign you're behind. This is genuinely one of the more confusing corners of personal finance, and most people never get taught it, not in school, not at work, not even by the person who signed them up for their 401k. Confusion isn't failure. It's just the starting point everyone begins from. If you're in your 30s or early 40s, you have the most powerful tool of all time. Consider directing new contributions into a Roth 401k or Roth IRA now, while your income and tax rate are likely lower than they'll be later. For 2026, the Roth IRA contribution limit is $7,500 if you're under 50. And $8,600 if you're 50 or old. Your mindset shift. Paying a small tax bill today on purpose is not a loss. It's a discount. If you're in your 50s, this is Mark's window. Look seriously at partial Roth conversions in the years before Social Security and required withdrawals begin. Your mindset shift. Your account balance was never 100% yours. Treat a strategic conversion as finally settling up on your terms at a price you control. If you're in your 60s or a late starter, don't panic, and don't assume it's too late. Even a few years of thoughtful conversions before required withdrawals begin, or simply understanding what's coming so it doesn't blindside you, changes the outcome. Your mindset shift. You can't undo the past 30 years of contributions, but you still control the next 10. And for anyone in this group who feels like the window has already closed, it hasn't. Even someone who starts converting at 68, 3 or 4 years before their first required withdrawal, can meaningfully shrink the size of that eventual forced withdrawal. It won't erase the tax bill entirely, but it turns a sudden shove into a gentler nudge, and that difference is worth something real. Here's the truth underneath all the numbers. Retirement was never really about the size of the number on your statement. It was about how much of that number you actually get to keep. The seed you plant today decides the tax on the harvest you'll live on tomorrow. You can't change the seeds you already planted years ago. But you can absolutely decide, starting right now, which seeds you plant next. And when you're willing to pay the small, honest price for a harvest that's finally completely yours. If this changed the way you look at your own retirement account, you're not alone. And you don't have to figure the rest of it out by yourself. If you want more breakdowns like this one, stick around. There's a lot more to unpack. I'm Denise.